From the very beginning, Samantha and I shared an unbreakable bond that many would envy. We've been best friends for almost 8 incredible years, with me being 24 and her 25. Our friendship ignited instantly, and we've stuck together through thick and thin, always supporting each other like the closest of allies. Naturally, every friendship has its minor disagreements, and ours were no exception during those early days. However, nothing ever seemed too significant to cause a rift between us. Fast forward to the past 4 or 5 years, and we've encountered a few more substantial disagreements, the most recent of which has been by far the most intense and challenging to navigate. If you've been enjoying our story so far, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue sharing these personal journeys. Normally, Samantha has been nothing short of amazing, always by my side, offering her unwavering support, and listening attentively whenever I needed to vent or share my thoughts. She's genuinely kind-hearted and has been a fantastic confidant throughout our entire friendship. One of the things I admire most about her is her ability to let go of grudges easily, something I've struggled with myself. Despite my tendency to become frustrated with people over minor issues, I've never felt that way toward Samantha. Yet, there has always been this recurring issue that has subtly strained our relationship. Whenever Samantha has had a few drinks, she becomes incredibly flirty with any guy nearby, which has always been a point of discomfort for me. It's especially unsettling because she's in a committed relationship, and this behavior often leaves me feeling uneasy. Our mutual friends have even commented on it, questioning whether her husband is aware of her actions, which sometimes makes her appear somewhat foolish and creates an awkward atmosphere. About 4 or 5 years ago, Samantha met Kyle, the man who would become her husband. Their relationship didn't start smoothly, they faced numerous challenges initially. However, they persevered, eventually purchasing a home together, getting engaged, and tying the knot a couple of summers ago. For a while, everything seemed perfect. But then, things took a dramatic turn that would forever alter the dynamics of our friendship. Samantha betrayed her partner not once, but twice, engaging in affairs with 2 of my closest male friends whom I frequently spent time with while Samantha was visiting me. This deceitful behavior was particularly hurtful because it occurred while I was right there, sharing the same space, albeit on separate occasions during that same summer. The first time Samantha confessed to her infidelity, I was taken aback but decided to address it head-on. However, when the second incident occurred, she attempted to keep it under wraps, behaving strangely and arousing my suspicions. Trusting my instincts, I approached the guy involved, who didn't hesitate to reveal the truth. He even showed me text messages where Samantha was desperately pleading with him to keep their affair a secret. Confronting her with this evidence, she tried to downplay the situation, claiming that he had taken advantage of her. But how could she justify her actions with not just 1, but 2 of my closest friends being involved? The revelation was too much to handle, and I felt trapped in an impossible situation, especially since these were friends I saw regularly. Samantha's attempt to accuse one of them of wrongdoing only complicated matters further, making it difficult for me to maintain any sense of normalcy in our interactions. Despite all this, Samantha asked me to be her maid of honor for her wedding, a request that put me in an even more uncomfortable position. I felt immense guilt for her fiancé, Kyle, but at the same time, I didn't want to betray her trust. It was a confusing time where I wasn't sure what the right thing to do was. Samantha seemed to brush off her past actions, acting as though nothing had happened, which was frustrating because it showed a lack of accountability on her part. I found myself distancing from her, avoiding hangouts with most of my male friends to avoid further awkwardness. However, when Samantha asked me again to be part of her wedding, I struggled with my feelings, hoping that this was all behind us and that our friendship could survive for the sake of her big day. As we moved forward, Samantha began to place her trust in those who knew about her infidelities, believing that no one would dare to reveal the truth to her partner. She even went as far as inviting my 2 male friends to socialize with her and Kyle, attempting to mend fences and present a united front. While it might sound unusual, at that moment, I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, hoping that she had genuinely moved past her mistakes and that our friendship could remain intact. I wanted nothing more than for her to be happy, so I went along with her narrative, choosing to ignore the past and focus on maintaining our bond and supporting her as she prepared for her wedding. However, whenever we went out, Samantha's flirtatious behavior when she was drinking persisted, though it seemed mostly harmless, just harmless flirting or dancing, from what I could tell. The most significant issue was her attempt to rekindle something with one of my male friends, the same one she had previously cheated with. I immediately shut down any attempt she made to spend the night with him again, ensuring that nothing transpired. Despite this, it was exhausting having to constantly monitor her when she was drunk, preventing her from making any further mistakes. It felt like I was in a parental role, always having to watch over her to ensure she didn't jeopardize her marriage again. Fast forward to about 4 months ago, when we decided to go out for dinner and drinks. We ended up getting quite intoxicated and returned to my place, where I was living with my boyfriend, Van, of 2 years. At one point, Van was upstairs working out with the door closed, while I left Samantha sleeping in the guest room as I went downstairs to watch TV and do some laundry. The next day, after Samantha had left, Van called me, sounding uneasy and upset about something strange that had happened while I was downstairs. When I asked him, he explained that while he was working out in his boxers, Samantha had unexpectedly barged into his workout space without any invitation. She began chatting with him about his exercise routine, and at first, he thought she might be looking for me. He informed her that I was in the basement, but she seemed unfazed by this. Samantha, having lost some weight recently, started asking Van if he thought she looked good. She even lifted her shirt to show off her abs and proceeded to perform some glute exercises on the floor, complimenting her own physique and seeking validation. Van found her behavior extremely odd and uncomfortable, feeling as though she was fishing for compliments. He suggested she go downstairs to find me instead, hoping to defuse the situation. When Van recounted the incident to me, I was livid. I understood that alcohol can lead to poor judgment, but I never expected Samantha to behave in such a manner around my boyfriend. It made no sense why she would invade his personal space and seek his approval in that way. Determined to address this, I invited Samantha over the next day when Van was out, intending to have a serious conversation about what had transpired. As I began to explain what Van had told me, Samantha immediately apologized, claiming she didn't know why she acted that way when she was drunk. I expressed that I needed space and couldn't trust her anymore, given her repeated betrayals. The following day, Samantha tried to change her story, accusing Van of lying and suggesting that our conversation was harmless. This was absurd because telling her best friend's boyfriend how nice her body looks is far from harmless. Van has always been a trustworthy partner, and Samantha's behavior had once again shattered any remaining trust one had in her. Given her history, I decided to believe Van's account. I was deeply upset that Samantha refused to take responsibility for her actions, especially since this wasn't an isolated incident. I provided her with a list of times she had behaved similarly with other men who were either taken or married, highlighting a clear pattern of behavior. Instead of acknowledging her faults, she continued to play the victim, accusing me of being rude for bringing up her past mistakes. She claimed she felt lost and uncomfortable around Van, trying to shift the blame onto him rather than owning up to her own actions. This infuriated me because she was attempting to manipulate the situation to her advantage, despite being the one who had made Van feel uncomfortable. At this point, my feelings were a whirlwind of frustration and hurt. It became clear that I could no longer continue our friendship unless Samantha acknowledged her issues, sought help, and tried to understand why she acted the way she did when drunk. I expressed to her that I was exhausted from constantly having to monitor her behavior to prevent further cheating, and I voiced my frustration at her tendency to blame others instead of taking responsibility for her actions. Our conversation quickly escalated into a heated argument, with Samantha accusing me of not being a supportive friend and misunderstanding her side of the story. The tension reached a breaking point when she stormed out, declaring that she never wanted to speak to me again. It was a heartbreaking moment, considering she had been my best friend for 8 years, but her actions were now negatively impacting my relationship with Van, something I couldn't ignore any longer. I respected her decision to end the friendship and chose not to reach out to her afterward. A few days later, on a Saturday night around 2 a.m., I received a text from Kyle, Samantha's husband. He called me a scumbag for exaggerating the situation and implied that I was insecure because of Samantha's recent physical changes, suggesting that I was jealous of her new body. He accused both me and Van of making a mountain out of a molehill and labeled me as a bad friend to Samantha. Determined to set the record straight, I responded by suggesting that maybe one day Samantha would be honest with him about what I had revealed. Kyle quickly replied, questioning what I meant by that, but I chose to ignore his message, feeling that his concerns were no longer my responsibility. The following day, to my surprise, the doorbell rang, and there stood Kyle at my doorstep. His unexpected visit filled the room with palpable tension, but we welcomed him inside nonetheless. Kyle wanted to discuss the text I had sent him the previous night, seeking the truth about my claims. Nervously, I nodded and began to explain everything, detailing Samantha's past indiscretions and how they had impacted our friendship. At that moment, Van stepped in to further explain what had happened between him and Samantha, emphasizing how uncomfortable her behavior had made him feel. Kyle listened intently, looking increasingly shocked as I presented screenshots that proved Samantha had indeed engaged in affairs while married. He couldn't believe that Samantha had kept such significant secrets from him and felt embarrassed as he realized the extent of her deceit. Feeling responsible, I decided to share the entire truth with Kyle. I recounted all the instances of Samantha's infidelity, providing concrete evidence to support my claims. Kyle was visibly stunned and asked why I hadn't told him about these incidents sooner. I apologized, explaining that I had wanted to protect Samantha's trust and had been struggling with the constant need to manage her behavior whenever we went out. The gravity of the situation hit Kyle hard as he processed the information, understanding why Samantha had been acting out and why our friendship had become so strained. He expressed his gratitude for my honesty but made it clear that he couldn't continue living with Samantha after learning about her betrayals. Kyle assured me that he needed time to think things over and requested that I keep his visit and our conversation confidential from Samantha. I agreed, and Kyle thanked me for my transparency before leaving. This encounter was surreal and intense, realizing that Samantha's actions had led to the potential end of her marriage. Following this tumultuous period, I chose to distance myself entirely from both Samantha and Kyle. From what I could gather, they seemed to remain together, suggesting that their marriage hadn't yet collapsed despite the revelations. Personally, I decided to focus my energy on my own life and career, consciously removing myself from the complications that had defined that chapter of my life. Fast forward to just 2 months ago, a delightful and heartwarming twist unfolded in my life. Van decided it was time to take our relationship to the next level, and in a beautiful and unexpected gesture, he proposed to me. This marked the beginning of a new and hopefully more peaceful chapter in our journey together. It was undeniably the happiest day of my life. I shared our engagement photos and my new ring on social media, receiving an outpouring of congratulations from friends. It seemed that some mutual friends had informed Samantha about our engagement as well, leading her to call me multiple times late at night. When I answered, thinking she might be calling to congratulate me, she instead launched into a tirade, demanding that I couldn't marry Van. Her furious outburst left me speechless as she insisted that I needed to break up with him to avoid an unhappy ending after choosing him over her. Van, who had been sleeping beside me, woke up groggy and confused, prompting me to put the call on speaker so he could hear Samantha's angry rant. She continued to accuse Van of being unworthy and threatened to ruin his life for what she perceived as his betrayal of our friendship. Fed up with her relentless anger, I firmly told her she was going too far and ended the call, feeling irritated and unwilling to tolerate any more of her drama. The next morning, I woke up to a slew of angry messages from Samantha, all threatening to wreck our wedding. Concerned, I decided to reach out to Kyle, who informed me that Samantha had been acting extremely agitated since the previous night. He had no idea why until I shared the news of my engagement with him. Upon learning what Samantha had yelled at me over the phone, Kyle revealed that Samantha had spent the night drinking alone, mumbling about needing to do something, and now I realized it was all connected to my engagement. Worried about her threats, I voiced my concerns to Kyle, understanding that given her history, she might show up at our wedding to cause chaos. In response, Kyle shared that for the past few months, he had been secretly consulting with his lawyer, moving his assets, and making arrangements to divorce Samantha. He had anticipated her attempts to interfere and wanted to be prepared to officially divorce her should she try to disrupt our wedding. Although there was a slim chance Samantha might never win any alimony, given her multiple affairs, Kyle wanted to cover all bases to ensure he was protected. This revelation explained why Samantha had been acting so erratically recently, as Kyle was positioning himself to handle any potential fallout from her actions. Feeling uneasy but trusting Kyle's judgment, Van and I agreed with his plan. We decided that Kyle would only move forward with the divorce if Samantha actually showed up at our wedding to create a scene. Last week, we finally had our small, intimate wedding at the church, surrounded by close friends and family. It was a cozy and joyous gathering as we exchanged our vows, but I couldn't help but keep an eye out for Samantha, fearing she might show up as she had threatened. Fortunately, Kyle was prepared with the divorce papers in hand, just in case she decided to disrupt our special day. As the priest began the ceremony and asked if anyone had any objections to our union, a voice rang out, cutting through the moment. To my utter shock, it was Samantha herself, standing right in the middle of the aisle. Clearly, she wasn't going to let our wedding proceed without a hitch. The once joyful atmosphere quickly turned tense and awkward as all eyes fixed on her. Samantha began accusing Van right there in front of everyone, falsely claiming that he was the father of a child she was supposedly carrying. Her ridiculous lies left us and all our guests in disbelief. The room went from pure happiness to complete chaos in mere seconds. My father looked at me, seeking confirmation, and I closed my eyes in exasperation, fully aware of what was about to unfold. Before Samantha could say another word, Kyle stood up from his seat. She looked utterly confused, perhaps not expecting him to be present among the guests. With a calm yet stern demeanor, Kyle approached Samantha, holding a small envelope in his hand. The tension in the room was thick as everyone watched intently. Kyle handed her the envelope and, with unwavering precision, declared, "Samantha, you are the most deceitful and unfaithful person I have ever known. I have no choice but to present these divorce papers to you." The room fell silent as Samantha opened the envelope, revealing the official divorce documents. The realization of her failed plan hit her hard, and her attempt to disrupt our wedding had spectacularly backfired. Kyle maintained his composure as he addressed everyone present, explaining that he could no longer tolerate Samantha's lies and manipulations. He detailed her numerous affairs and announced to everyone that she had a history of deceit and had chosen to interrupt our wedding out of spite. Van and I exchanged relieved glances, thankful that Kyle was there to unveil the truth. Samantha, now facing the consequences of her actions, appeared stunned and embarrassed as the guests whispered among themselves. Van took this opportunity to ask everyone to remain seated while he requested Kyle to escort Samantha out, which he did with a nod. With Samantha gone, the ceremony proceeded smoothly, allowing us to continue with our vows without further interruption. Despite our wedding going well overall, the incident with Samantha became a topic of conversation among our guests. Some even had videos of the event, which circulated through various friends' chat groups. While I felt a pang of sympathy for Samantha, I couldn't help but think that she had ultimately gotten what she deserved. The sheer audacity of her accusing Van of fathering her child was shocking, and it underscored just how far she was willing to go to cause drama. Since the wedding, Samantha has attempted to reach out to me multiple times, unsuccessfully. From the messages she's sent, it's clear that she blames me for her impending divorce and for not warning her about Kyle's intentions. Reflecting on everything, I realized that Samantha was never truly a genuine friend. Her toxic and manipulative behavior had been a significant drain on my emotional well-being, and it was time to prioritize my own happiness. With Van and I currently enjoying our honeymoon, I chose not to engage with Samantha's ongoing drama any longer. I made the difficult decision to cut ties with her completely, despite her attempts to shift the blame onto me. I understand now that her actions and lies were the true causes of her failed marriage. My parents, who had known Samantha for a long time due to our close friendship, were also deeply disappointed with her. They had no idea that Samantha would go to such lengths to try and sabotage my wedding. It was clear that Samantha had tried to embarrass both Van and me, but in the end, she only managed to embarrass herself when Kyle presented her with the divorce papers and exposed her lies. This entire ordeal taught me a valuable lesson about the importance of surrounding myself with genuine and supportive friends. I realized how crucial it is to distance myself from toxic relationships to maintain my mental and emotional health. Moving forward, my focus is solely on building a happy and healthy life with Van, free from the complications that once defined my friendship with Samantha. In an exciting update, 2 months after sharing my previous story, Van and I received the most wonderful news. We are expecting our first child together. This joyous development marks the beginning of an entirely new and beautiful chapter in our lives. Despite the drama that filled my earlier updates, this time it's all about pure happiness and anticipation for our growing family. Van and I are over the moon, and we are embracing this new journey with open hearts and minds. As for Samantha, she has become a distant memory, a chapter in my life that I am ready to close. We continue to maintain a cordial relationship with Kyle, who remains a dear friend to us as he navigates his divorce from Samantha. As anticipated, Samantha has been fighting tirelessly to obtain alimony from him, even after he presented her with undeniable proof of her multiple affairs. Initially, she tried to convince Kyle that I had fabricated the stories about her indiscretions, but eventually, the evidence proved too overwhelming for her to deny. She even attempted to reach out to me, alternating between pleading for forgiveness and accusing me of ruining her life. Choosing my mental well-being over her negativity, I decided to distance myself further and blocked her on all forms of communication. Van also took a firm stance, informing Samantha that her erratic behavior was no longer welcome and that he would pursue legal action to obtain a restraining order if she continued her disruptive conduct. Since then, Samantha has ceased all attempts to contact us. Additionally, some of our mutual friends have also distanced themselves from her upon discovering her manipulative actions and various affairs. It has become evident that Samantha can no longer hide behind blaming others, and I sincerely hope that she learns the importance of owning her mistakes and taking responsibility for her actions. 7 months have passed since my last update, and I'm thrilled to share some of the happiest news of my life. Van and I are expecting our first child, a blessing that fills our lives with immense joy and excitement. This time, my updates are devoid of any drama, just pure happiness and anticipation for the future. Samantha has faded into the background of my life, becoming nothing more than a distant memory. We continue to invite Kyle to visit us, supporting him as he finalizes his divorce from Samantha. Fortunately for Kyle, Samantha's multiple affairs have left her without a strong case for alimony, allowing him to move forward with his life without any financial entanglements. For those who offered advice and support throughout this roller coaster of events, I extend my heartfelt thanks. Your guidance and encouragement helped me navigate through some of the darkest times, and I am incredibly grateful for the love and positivity that surrounds me now. Life is now filled with the excitement of starting a family, and Van and I couldn't be more grateful for the unwavering support from our friends and family. We wish everyone the best in their own journeys and hope that our story serves as a reminder of the importance of surrounding oneself with genuine, supportive people who truly care about your well-being.